Hello, and welcome to The Budget Mouse, a podcast that will help you plan an incredible Walt Disney World vacation, even if you're on a shoestring budget. I'm Leah Althizer, and I've been helping people save money at Disney World for the past 10 years through my websites, podcasts, and courses. I'm so glad you're here, and let's dive in. Hello again, and welcome to episode 95. This week we're talking Typhoon Lagoon, what it is, where it is, and why you're probably going to care about it more starting in 2025. And I am joined by a very special guest this week. I have been begging her for years to come on the podcast, and she's stayed away, but finally agreed to do an episode with me. So this is my daughter, who's going by the name of Bryony on air, not her real name. But do you want to say hi?
Hello.
There she is. Okay, so she has opinions and things to add about Typhoon Lagoon because we recently went there on a trip last month. Oh, actually, no, it was this month, May 2024, and she has lots to add. So let's start with what it is. So Typhoon Lagoon is one of the two water parks located at Walt Disney World Resort. It has more than a dozen water slides, a wave pool, a lazy river, a kids' water play area, and lots more. It is located right across the street from Disney Springs, making it pretty easy to get to with Disney transportation. More on that later. And then why you're going to care about it more in 2025. That is because Disney is adding a new perk for on-property resort guests. Those are people staying at hotels owned and run by Walt Disney World. And that is that on the first day, your check-in day of your resort stay, you're going to get free water park entry for everyone that's on the reservation. At first, it seemed like this would just be for packages, like you had to have a ticket added to the resort reservation or a dining plan, but now it is appearing that it's for resort-only reservations as well. This could be a very valuable perk for people staying on property starting January 1st, 2025. First, we're going to give just a review of the park, kind of our favorite attractions, what we liked a lot about it, and then we're going to go on to nitty-gritty particulars of how to get the most from your day there and some really good tips. So I'm going to ask Bryony first. What was your favorite attraction?
I like the Crush and Gushers. It was the water coasters.
Ooh, I loved those too. Okay, tell us what they're like.
So you come on, it's this two-person raft. And when you said water coaster, I was like, what's a water coaster?
Right. What is a water coaster?
A water slide. I was like, yeah, but it's a roller coaster. I was like, how does that work? It just blasts you up with the water. And I was like, that sounds interesting. So we went on them, and yes, it's very fun. I don't know.
So it is unusual, right? Because normally water slides are just like gravity just pulls you down the slide, and you're never going to go uphill on a regular water slide. But these, you're right, it blasts you uphill for parts of the water slide and making it very thrilling. Like, how intense would you say it is? Could you compare it to a ride at Walt Disney World? Is it like Big Thunder Mountain thrill level? Is it Tron thrill level? Like what? Less than Tron. Okay. Like Big Thunder Mountain thrill level. I agree. It's definitely more thrilling than some of the other water slides. Yeah, for sure. I also love Crush and Gusher. So there are 3 slides that are part of this attraction called Crush and Gusher, and they're all really similar. There is one of the lines for Crush and Gusher, though, that you can go on if you're just a single rider. Right? One of the 3 slides that you could do if it was just one person riding on a raft. So you don't have to be a party of 2. If you were 3 people going together, you could all go on this same slide, but you'd have to separate into 2 and 1. So yes, we highly recommend Crush and Gusher. In fact, I'd say it's probably the second most popular attraction at the park, and that you should do it early in the morning. That's going to be part of our advice for going to Typhoon Lagoon is get there early in the morning. So my favorite attraction, I'm going to actually have 2. Of course, I can't pick just one. Misadventure Falls is the newest attraction at Typhoon Lagoon. It's also a raft ride. It's a family raft ride because you have 4 people in it. Interestingly, they won't let you ride it with less than 3 people. So Bryony and I wanted to go on it together, but we couldn't. We had to wait for another party of 2 or a party of 1 to come along and ride it with us. I guess that's for safety reasons. But it's it's unique in that you ride up on a conveyor belt. So you get on the raft and then a conveyor belt pulls you up on the raft to the top of the slide. It's really well themed. That is going to come up again here in a sec. The attraction's really well themed. It's really fun. It does have the longest lines of any ride. So we went to it first. We had a unique experience there, though, that we'll talk about in a second. My other favorite attraction were the storm slides, which is funny because I was initially scared to go down them because I don't like water slides that make me feel like I'm being waterboarded, like water being splashed up into my face. And I was worried they would be too intense, and they are not. So they're not intense at all, right? But basically just longer, like the slides you would find at the Disney World hotels. They're body slides, so you don't use a raft or a mat or anything, but they're not intense at all. No, not at all. And we loved them and did them all multiple times. So a bit not intense enough, she says. So two things also about the park is that we had an extraordinary day there because there was no one there that day. We don't know why. It was the middle of May, beginning of May. It was plenty warm enough to go to the water park. But for whatever reason, it was empty. And we even asked cast members, is this normal? And they said, no, this is not normal at all, that we lucked out and got a day where there were just no crowds there. So I think your experience may differ from ours quite a bit. It's especially starting in 2025 when you're getting free entry with anyone staying on property. I expect that to build the lines there quite a bit. Another thing I want to say overall about a review of the park is that the theming and story of this park are so good, so much detail, and such a cohesive theme. And so quickly, the overview of the theme is that there was a resort town called Leaning Palms? No. What? Placid Palms Resort. And it was destroyed by a typhoon storm. Hence the name Typhoon Lagoon. And it is now, what do they call it now? Leaning Palms? Well, I think that's a restaurant they called Leaning Palms now. But yes, so Placid Palms was the name of the resort town that got destroyed. So the theme is like one of kind of chaos after a storm where there's like flotsam and jetsam everywhere all over the park. And things are kind of dilapidated looking, but on purpose, you can tell, right? It's a really fun theme, and the way the story is told on all of the attractions, like every attraction has part of the theme of the place. The dining locations are themed to the theme of the park. It's really, really well done. So I say it's Disney Imagineering at its best in telling the story of this town that got dilapidated by this storm. All right, let's get into tips, like if you're going to go, what you should do. So let's start with when to arrive. I say if you're going to want the best experience at Typhoon Lagoon, you need to get there before it opens. It's not a surprise, right? That's the experience at all of the Disney parks. Normally, Typhoon Lagoon is opening at 10 a.m. As far as I could look on the schedule, out into the end of July, it is still opening at 10 a.m. I have heard, though, in peak seasons that the water parks sometimes open earlier. But I mean, I would say, how early did we get there?
Like 9:45.
Yeah. Great. So I would say get there at 9:45 if you can at all arrange that. We did wait in a line in kind of a rope drop. Yes, we rope dropped the water park where they let you into the park. I don't know how early they start letting people into the park, but they let you into the park and then hold you right at one of a few different access points inside the park to let you go. Then right at 10 a.m., they physically drop the rope and let you in. So the reason for doing this is actually not to get on an attraction. So the reason to do this is to get a good location for a chair for the day. So there are not that many lounge chairs that are in the shade all day. And so finding one and claiming it with your stuff first thing is what you should absolutely do. And where to find these, they're scattered about the park. Do you want to say something about them? Yeah, so we sat to the side, like if you're looking at the wave pool to the right. By Typhoon Tilly's. Yeah, across the bridge from Typhoon Tilly's. Yeah, we found plenty of spots in the shade. So I would say absolutely that's going to be your main goal. First thing is to go find a chair in the shade. Yeah, but when you get there first thing in the morning, what 2 attractions should you do?
Misadventure Falls and Crush and Gusher.
In fact, we claimed seats that were close to those attractions on purpose so that we could go right to them, planning that there would be long lines that day. It turns out it didn't matter one bit because there were no lines all day long. We got back on Misadventure Falls after lunch. Yeah. And we were the only ones in line. It was unbelievable. But normal advice would be to go do those 2 attractions first. So that is generally the touring plan, though, is to claim a chair and then go on those 2 attractions. Now, another stop on the way may be a locker. So there are lockers you can rent for the day to store your valuables in. My advice for going is don't take anything valuable with you. The only thing I had with me of value was my phone, which I kept in a pouch, a waterproof pouch around my neck. And then we didn't have to worry about any valuables being stolen, and we didn't have to rent a locker. I didn't check the locker rental prices, but I think when I've gone in the past, it was $10 for a small locker. So that's an expense you don't need to think about as long as you're going to keep your valuables with you. All right, so that's kind of the plan. Now, as for the other attractions, I mean, I don't know really what I'd advise doing next. I would say probably the storm slides next after those, because I think that line builds. Also, there was one attraction we did not go on at Typhoon Lagoon. It was Humunga Cowabunga. And that is this, yeah, because it looks terrifying, she said. That is the straight down drop water slide, body slide, that I just don't do those kinds of slides. Yeah. There's a taller one at Walt Disney World at Blizzard Beach. Yeah. Taller than the one at Typhoon Lagoon. What? She said. Yes. So it's just not our cup of tea, but I imagine that on a busy day, the line for that would build as well, it being like the most thrilling attraction at Typhoon Lagoon. So storm slides, Humunga Cowabunga next. Now, on the other side of the park, there are more raft rides that we are less popular because they're older. They've been there the longest time. So we did all of those after lunch. We liked them. However, there was one we have a word of warning about. Yes, please tell them.
Mayday Falls. So we got on. We thought it was going to be like the others. And I'm riding down, and then I just see this bump, giant bump. Speed bump. It's the most not fun thing. And then I was like, oh, it's just one. And then there's like 30 more.
So we don't really know why this slide is littered with speed bumps, but it is. And I mean, if you don't weigh a lot, if you're a kid, that's not going to feel too bad, right? You're just going to be like, oh, a little bump. But if you're a full-grown adult, you start to feel those bumps. And it made it my least favorite ride at the park. I did not enjoy the down. So, word of warning, Mayday Falls. Yes. Yeah, that's the one raft ride on the other side of the park. We'd say proceed with caution. All right. I'm going to talk about some more logistics and the food situation, other things you need to know about going to Typhoon Lagoon. So there is a challenge with transportation. If you're staying at a Walt Disney World resort, currently, the only way to get to Typhoon Lagoon is to take a bus to Disney Springs first and then transfer on another bus to Typhoon Lagoon. In my opinion, this is ridiculous and you shouldn't do it, particularly in the morning when you're trying to get there in a timely manner. You're trying to get there to be there for rope drop, to get a head start on the day. I would pay for an Uber to get there. From most any spot in Walt Disney World at any of the resorts, it's going to be $8 to get to Typhoon Lagoon. I think that is money well spent. If you can fit everyone in your party into one Uber and get over there, you're going to be there in 10 to 15 minutes and you're going to be on with your day. I would leave minimum of 1 hour if you're riding on the bus. And I think you still might be late because the buses to Disney Springs are notoriously infrequent at the resorts. Those are the buses I have waited routinely the longest for. And then there are probably 2 shuttles going constantly back and forth from Typhoon Lagoon, but maybe only one. And you might have to wait for a bus. I have read online horror stories of people saying, okay, I got to Disney Springs on time, but then there was this crazy long line for everyone from all the resorts trying to get to Typhoon Lagoon, and they had to wait. And that sounds like a horrible start to the day. So to me, money well spent is to take an Uber over there. Now, on the way back, you may not be in such a hurry. You may be fine with transferring at Disney Springs. You may even want to go to Disney Springs after your day and have something to eat or whatever. So maybe taking the Disney transportation back, but I would never do it in the morning. It's just too much hassle. The food situation there at Typhoon Lagoon we thought was really good. There are many quick service restaurants, again, super well themed. There are many snack opportunities there. You can bring your own food and drink into Typhoon Lagoon. I don't think you can bring a hard-sided cooler, but you can bring a soft-sided cooler and just no alcohol. But we had a great lunch there and very reasonable. It was $10.99 for our entrees, and they were delicious. So I think I'll go for it and get the food there. You had a treat that you really liked there.
It was a matcha Dole Whip. What? It was very good.
Wow, that was the first we'd ever seen a matcha Dole Whip, and she gave it 2 thumbs up. Thought it was great. Also, there are showers and changing rooms available at Typhoon Lagoon. There were way more showers and changing rooms than I thought there would be. It's meant to accommodate a huge crowd. Of course, it was empty when we went, but you can plan to shower and change there. There's plenty of space to do that. Now, I want to give you money saving tips because this is the Budget Mouse, so I have a lot, right? Okay, so we stopped by the gift shop on our way out. Okay. And we were shocked by the cost of some items that because we planned ahead and research, we brought with us. Now, if you didn't plan ahead and research, and maybe you're not listening to the Budget Mouse podcast, you don't know about the things that you're going to need for the day. So these are the things we brought with us. Water shoes for both of us. We were really glad to have them because walking around all day on the hot pavement in no shoes is not pleasant. Also, if you're going to wear flip-flops, that means you're going to have to take them off at every ride and carry them with you or store them somewhere and pick them up afterwards. And that is a pain in the neck. You want to say something about the water shoes?
Yes, and about other things carrying with you. The only bad thing, not fun thing about the storm slides is that they made you take hats, sunglasses, water shoes, literally everything off before you went on these little slides. So.
Yeah, we thought it was overkill, like completely unnecessary, but considering the thrill level of the rides, but that's good to mention that you'll have to do that. So the water shoes we bought, I think I got them from Five and Below, or maybe Amazon, but not Dollar Tree, but they were anyway in the range of $5 to $8 is how much I paid for our water shoes. So do you remember how much they were? $35 at Typhoon Lagoon. Oh my goodness, we were shocked. So bring your own water shoes for sure. Another thing, yes, is the phone pouch. So I loved having the phone pouch with my phone, and my phone has, I could put a credit card in there as well. So I did have a credit card and my ID in the phone pouch with me to keep it safe. I got those for 99 cents at Target before the trip. They were $25 each at Typhoon Lagoon. I am not making this up. So $1 at Target versus $25 each. And we both had one, right? $50 worth of phone pouches we saved at Typhoon Lagoon. Another thing we both wore was a sun shirt, like a rash guard, a long sleeve rash guard, because we were in the sun a lot all day. Again, we got those ahead of time at either Target or Amazon for cheap, of course. They were $50 each at Typhoon Lagoon. So do not go planning to buy this stuff. Other things you might want to consider bringing: sunscreen, which I know it's overpriced at Typhoon Lagoon. I don't even have to check the price to know it's way more than it should be. And also a hat. So I had a big, like a wide brim hat that I wore when we went on the lazy river, which we didn't really mention the lazy river, but that we loved the lazy river at Typhoon Lagoon. We went on it. We went around multiple times.
I had several floats.
Yes. Tell them.
Floaty McFloatface and Floaty McFloatface the second.
It was a special time on the lazy river. Okay, next, cost. So we bought discount tickets through Undercover Tourist, which is where I get all of my discount tickets for Walt Disney World. They were $55 plus tax, and that was an $8 savings off of the regular price. I mean, why not? Hey, that could pay for your Uber there in the morning. Then you don't, and you're not out any money, right? Now, that was a ticket that had block out dates. So there were dates that you could not use that ticket, but I just checked those and made sure that the day we were going did not fall in the block out dates. Now, another thing about Typhoon Lagoon is there is an after hours event there that is wildly popular called H2O Glow. It's from 8 to 11 p.m. and you can also get discount tickets to this through Undercover Tours. I'm going to put a link to these discounted tickets in the show notes of this so that you can go there and buy them. So definitely get the discount tickets. Now, I have never been to the after hours event, but I know it gets rave reviews. People love it, think it's well worth the money to have the park to yourself, which we had anyway, but to have the park to yourself, and the glow activities they have are really fun. Okay, so the last thing I want to talk about is how to use this free entry that you're going to get starting in 2025. Because a challenge to this is many people don't arrive until later in the day on their arrival day, making it very difficult to get any use out of this free entry, right? So my advice for that, and what we almost always do, is the day before we check in officially to our Disney World resort, we stay off property somewhere nearby with points and miles. And I have a brand new free course that is how to travel with points and miles, an intro course for if you've never done this before, how it can help you save so much money traveling. And this is a great example of how it can save you money. I'm going to put the link to the free course in the show notes too, so you can be sure and take it. So we like Hyatt properties. Yes, Bryony is a Hyatt girl. She loves Hyatt properties. So, right. So on this trip, we stayed our first night at a Hyatt property that was very close to Disney Springs. I rented a car and was able to drive us from the Hyatt property to Typhoon Lagoon. I think it was 8 minutes to get, we were so close to Typhoon Lagoon, and we were able to then use, our tickets starting early in the morning. So if it's important to you to take advantage of the free water park entry, then you can just stay off property for a night, or even stay at the same Disney resort, but on a separate reservation of a one night room only reservation. And then the next day check in officially to your longer stay, and you will get the water park entry for there. You can even stay in the same room. So I have done this many, many times. It's a split stay. It's on 2 different reservations, but at the same resort. And you don't have to change rooms. They will never make you change rooms. That's just more work for them. So there's no reason they would ever do it. So anything else to say about Typhoon Lagoon? Do you think it's worth doing on your vacation?
Absolutely.
We had a blast. It exceeded our expectations. We compared it to our local water park here, which is Wet n Wild Emerald Point. How did it compare?
Very much better.
way better. So highly recommend it, especially if it's no cost for the tickets to go starting next year. So thanks for listening. Have a great day.